Nick, media days were yesterday on Sunday. You were there. What were your thoughts?
Decent day. I would have chose some different players to come talk to us. Jaden Hill, said something just like he looks big, like it looks really good, and I thought, man, he looks really good. And then he said something that I hadn't realized. He's like, yeah, it's nice to not be hurt. And I think his last full off season where he wasn't injured or nursing an injury was before the 2020 COVID season. Tore his ACL right before the 2021 season, had a setback before 2022, didn't participate in fall camp at all. So just to see what he's been able to do in Mark Hockey's program, and something that I don't know if Mark Hockey said, I might be speaking out of pocket here because it might be some off the record stuff that was said to me, but Nick Savage, when Billy came in, the team was like done. They were done with Dan Mullen. They welcomed in a brand new head coach. They welcomed in Billy Napier. They did not welcome in Mark Hockey. They loved Nick Savage. Like, Mark Hockey has had to earn his respect and earn the players listening to him and buying into him. And they have. And you can see that not by what they're saying and hear what they're saying. You can see that by what their bodies look like now. But the guys look like they've put in the work. They put in the work. They're looking like a Division I SEC football team, and not some guys who just play football on Saturdays for fun. So shout out to Mark Hockey, because it's easy to come in as a new head coach, but the guys love their strength coach. They spend so much time with the strength coach, more time than they do with the position coach or the head coach. And when Nick Savage was offered a demotion or to leave, and he left, the players were not happy with that. So Mark Hockey's had to earn the respect that he now has in that locker room.
Yeah, I like what I heard from him during media day as well. I thought Jaden Hill was an interesting choice there. Older guy, so it makes a lot of sense there. You had Jason Marshall, another guy from the secondary that went to the SEC media days. But I'm with you. I thought some other voices could have been a little bit better. What do you guys think of? You like that Graham Mertz isn't doing any media?
I think we'll get him. I think we'll get him tomorrow, probably. Also, if Billy's trying to play off,
he already tipped his hand, Nick. Just
he's still trying to play off. I wrote today what I'm looking for, and of course, I'm looking for the quarterback. And someone on our message board was like, "Can we stop pretending that there isn't a quarterback?" And I said, "Yeah. As soon as Billy names one, I'll stop pretending that there isn't a quarterback battle."
But until then, content's got to get written.
Until then, content's content, baby. It's not going to farm itself. So, yeah, once you bring Graham out without bringing Jack Miller out, you've named your quarterback. And I think Billy wants to keep that card, which he's already shown to everyone, I think, close to his vest until, that first scrimmage, which will happen in about a week. Then I think we won't get Graham Mertz. But could we see him tomorrow? Maybe. We talked to players on Tuesday.
It seemed like at SEC Media Day that he kind of talked to him as the quarterback, though. Yeah. I know he was asked about him, but he didn't go out his way to say that it was a battle. He just spoke on the leadership skills and, the skill set and who he was before he got to the University of Florida. But he said everything but he's our quarterback right now.
Yeah. A lot of when you read the articles or listen to the quotes that were said this past Florida Media Days, a lot of it was talked about Graham Mertz's leadership. Mark Hockey said Graham talked to the team the other day and said, "Look, we're the average of all of our practices, and it starts in the weight room." Anyway, I think that's all he said about Graham Mertz. But he said
it's interesting though, because he's speaking from like the team leaders, like that's a team leader, us rallying before the season type conversation. He getting his leadership shit on a little bit. So.
Yeah, and then here it was. I knew I read some. Jaden Hill, as we know, the season goes as Jaden Hill goes. So
I'm not gonna do that this year.
Yeah, always, Dan. Always.
I'm not gonna do that.
Jaden Hill said Graham's been doing a good job leading us. Graham is actually on my off-season team. He's been doing a good job making sure everybody is where they're supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then just for the team, Graham has gotten up. He spoke to us as far as being a leader, and everybody they listen. Graham has a lot of respect from us as players. In terms of leadership, he's kind of eased his way into it. I think it took about probably the second week of spring because he started making plays out there and people started to respect him, started trying to piece this together. And then we respected him more. He started speaking up. He just got out there, acts like he's been there, leads the team. That sounds to me, being a leader, the way that he's been talked about, and these are obviously prompted questions up to them, but it sounds to me like Graham Mertz is the uncalculated, or is oh gosh, what word am I trying to think? He is definitely the leader in the quarterback room and will be the quarterback going into next season. Sorry.
Yeah, never seen you be at a loss of words, Dan.
Man of many words, which is man of none.
Big words too.
Yeah.
I think just listening to what the players say publicly and talking to people behind the scenes, Graham's been carrying himself in that way. Yesterday, Montreal Johnson said that Graham leads the team. He talks to us in a way like a coach would talk to us, and you hear that from the meeting room to the field. And then just talking to people, it looks like maybe Jack Miller also has read the writing on the wall there and has started carrying himself as a backup as well. So it's something that, listen, and you've seen this, and we didn't see it really last year, but you've seen it throughout the past decade. Jack Miller, if he does not win, if he isn't named the starting quarterback, is one sack away from being the starting quarterback. So you have to continue to prepare yourself to play on Saturday.
I do prefer, not a quarterback. Yeah, undisputed. I will appreciate that.
That's the word I was going for. Thanks, Harrison.
Now you got a ghostwriter. Dan.
John Ruiz has my head in shambles right now.
Financials, Dan, have you gotten any? I saw you posted something on Twitter yesterday that looked as if it was something shared to the shareholders.
It was. We'll talk about that here in a second.
Okay.
All right, I'll write that down. We'll get into our Life Wallet, Life Alert update.
Death Wallet. Real quick, I do like that we're heading into camp and there won't be no splitting of one snaps, right? I would like QB one snaps because game one we right into the fire. So I would prefer there not being a quarterback battle in camp, whoever it may be. We all think it's Mertz, but Mertz need all the number one snaps before we go to the mountains of the Utes.
All right, so let's dive into a few other things, and I'm going to kind of do this sporadically. It's not going to really make much sense, but it's just the order in which I wrote these things down. So we are going to have our first time in 9 years, our fall camp open practice to fans. That is going to be on August 5th. So this Saturday, if you are in Gainesville, gates are going to open at 2 p.m. And it's free. They're going to be practicing in the afternoon, and then there will be a Florida Victorious NIL event after at 4:30 at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. So when I was an undergrad from 2006 to 2010, we had a lot of open practices. Certainly, I think probably 70% of them were open before the season started. Florida went away from that under Jim McElwain, probably because he didn't know what he was doing. And then Dan Mullen kept them closed. First year of Billy Napier, they're closed. Now we get one open. Do you think that this is just going to be a one-off thing, maybe one time a year? Do you think we ever see a day when practice might be a little bit more open to fans the way that it used to be? But your thoughts on the event as a whole?
Go ahead. So
thoughts on, I'm sorry.
Open practice.
Oh, that's fire. Yeah, transparency, I think is dope. The fans get to, and the media get a little bit of access, but usually just that first 15 minutes of throw-arounds. So I think transparency is going to be good just for overall approval rating, morale with the fans, all of that. So it's a good look. It's been a minute. So I wish I could get up to August 5th, but open scrimmage is what I would like next. Why not?
So last spring we got one full practice. We were able to stay out there the whole time. We just couldn't report on stuff that we saw. I think we'll get another one of those this fall camp. I'm excited about that because that means I get to stay for an entire practice, and not just the individual drills that I'm gonna have to run out of here a little bit early to go see today. But I don't think we're ever gonna see that as a common or everyday practice. I think with the world of social media and tweets, yeets, I don't know, whatever Elon's trying to get him to call them, they're always going to be tweets.
I think they're called Zeets.
Yeets, yeet the zeet.
I think
like
Yeet
to
starts
me.
with a Y, but that's fine.
Yeet the tweet. It's still a zeet or whatever it is.
Well,
Anyway,
anyway,
it's called Twitter.
Nick said it's called X today.
I'll be on Twitter. So I remember one practice we had that they opened in the spring, and we were told don't tweet anything if there's an injury at practice. And Vernon Hargreaves went down like non-contact, and of course a bunch of like the students and a bunch of people rushed to tweet it, and that was like the end of our open practices with Will Muschamp. So I don't think we're gonna see anything like that. I think you're gonna get one a year, maybe one in the spring, one in the fall. And that'll be it. But I think it is good to get the fans out there. It's in odd years, it's going to be tough to sell tickets for home games. Like, look at the home schedule this year. It's atrocious. You get McNeese, Charlotte, Florida State, and what? Tennessee,
and
Vanderbilt, Arkansas. Those are your six.
Definitely nasty word.
It's you gotta get, and there's already not a lot of excitement as far as I can tell about the season. There's more excitement about recruiting right now than the actual season. So a way to garner excitement, get people invested in Florida Victorious. If you're a Florida Victorious member, you can stay after that practice, meet Billy Napier, meet some of the players, get them to take pictures, sign some stuff. So creating an event around what otherwise would be a closed practice to everybody, I think is a good PR move.
You think they ever do something that really tries to partner with like a Florida Victorious Gatorverse NIL, maybe an NIL supported or practice only event?
Yeah, I think you could see that. But then also, me as a member of the media, I'm going to join Florida Victorious, and I'm going to be at that practice. So,
I don't know. I am somebody that watched a lot of practices. Back when. There's not usually a lot that happens. Most people don't even know what's going on. Certainly, there could be an injury that gets reported on, but I often think that a lot of this is just I don't know if it's just a control thing or if it's just them kind of getting in their heads just a little bit about how damaging that information is going to be. If there is an injury, that player's not going to play regardless. Somebody reporting on that injury doesn't mean that player is automatically no longer injured because it got reported or becomes more injured because it gets reported on, right? And injuries and injury, they're going to happen. I think that it builds really good favor to the University of Florida for fans. Fans have been, we've always said the worst thing that you can be as a fan base is apathetic. And I'm not saying that the Florida fan base is apathetic. Our listens are at an all-time high here on Stadium and Gale. Fans are interested, but I do think to build good favor with folks, opening and doing things, even if it's not every practice like it used to be, opening up a few a year during the spring, during the fall really helps build good favor. You tie that into NIL, you tie that directly back into support. All of a sudden, now you start to build some an excitement and enthusiasm. That's what people want as fans, right? They obviously want wins and national championships and everything else, but they want excitement. They want memories that they can have, whether that's bringing a child to a practice, whether that's, returning to campus for the first time since you graduated 20 years ago, and it makes sense in your schedule to go make that practice. But building that memory, to me, is what being a fan's about. And it's not just about, hey, is somebody going to fire off a tweet on social media? I know that that's a part of society now, but if the NFL can do it and everybody else can do it, I think that college football can do it too. I know that's the trend, but count me as somebody that disagrees with this trend.
Hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it just gets a little tricky injury-wise because I think they try to control that these kids' parents finding out they're injured from the staff and them before social media and all that. And then, you're implementing new offenses and all of that, So I think a lot of it's just strategy, but I get it. But you got to be able to, get some good transparency is good. That way, if all the practices are hidden and things go south, nobody has any access, and that's one of the first things that always comes up, like what's going on at practice. So giving the fans and media more access, I think, is a plus overall for everyone.
Absolutely. All right. So let's see here in the next topic there. So again, that practice is going to be at 2 p.m. or the gates open at 2 p.m. On Saturday. So again, if you're in Gainesville on Saturday, August 5th, gates open at 2 p.m. And then if you're a member of Florida Victorious, that event will be at 4:30 at Ben-Ho Griffin Stadium. Will be for about 45 minutes or so. Next thing that we that we learned is Micah Mazuka is going to be limited when the Gators open fall camp, but it does look like he's going to be able to be mostly healthy and ready to go for the first game of the season. Big update for the Florida Gators. Obviously, the Baylor transfer was one of the highly sought offensive line transfers this past offseason. Gets a shoulder injury. Says he's going to transfer, decides not to transfer, goes through the recovery, but will be limited. But good to see him, come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask you if he's starting off camp a little limited. Like, what's his rollout? What you're hearing?
Yeah, he's going to be limited. I would be very surprised if he's in like a full contact jersey on Monday or even for the first week. My big thing with him is, from someone who's had a shoulder injury before, everything that he needs to do in terms of his job as an offensive lineman is pushing. And with a shoulder injury, that's going to create a lot of strain, a lot of pressure on his shoulder. So you need to take him back, bring him back slowly, so you're not going to re-injure that. And then what is his football shape? What's his body look like? Because he hasn't been able to go through the lifting program the way that the rest of the offensive line has been able to since spring, since March. So I think that's going to be a big thing to look at. He's the starting left guard. As soon as he enrolled in classes and stepped on the field, he was the starting left guard. So to get him back, it is going to be huge for Florida. If not, you're going to be looking at Jake Slaughter, who's been on campus for a while but hasn't really played, or Najee Harris, who's a true freshman, a guy who's impressed Rob Sale, who spoke really highly of him yesterday at Media Day. But it's still a true freshman. You're going to be throwing a true freshman into the deep end without his swimmies, and saying, hey, just go out there and compete. So I like to get Najee Harris into the fold or get Jake Slaughter some reps, but Micah Mazuka is going to be a key piece of the Florida offensive line, and getting him back to the season healthy is going to be important. So how many reps can you get him to get him into football shape before August 31st?
Right. Jalen Farmer is another name that you can expect to play.
Jalen Farmer, I think you might want to work him in at tackle. I don't know how much you can count on Lindell from FIU. So, and he's another guy who missed a lot of spring with an arm injury of his own. So what does he look like? Florida's got pieces. I think they probably have 8 or 9 guys right now. If you're talking to Rob Sale, a little bit off to the side, 8 or 9 guys that they would trust if the game was this week to throw into the mix. As an offensive line coach, he'll always tell you, if you ask him how many guys do you need, he'll say more. But I think if you're looking at it, 8 or 9 guys to go up against Utah, I think you're comfortable with that. But I would argue that Micah Mazuka is one of those 8 or 9 guys that they feel comfortable with, and he won't be, out there banging helmets and banging pads today. Yeah,
no, Florida has a lot of names, right, and a lot of potential right now. It's a matter of putting it all together. Najee Harris, Jalen Farmer, Jake Slaughter, names that we've heard of for a little while. Obviously, Najee Harris is a true freshman here, but there's a lot of names. Obviously you want to make sure that you stay healthy on that offensive line, but being able to get those, 6th, 7th, 8th, hopefully 9. I don't know if Florida's had 9 options, good options, in a long time. So, Florida's offensive line played pretty well last year, anchored by 2 players that transferred, 1 that went to the NFL, right? So you have a lot of reps to make up here. But, Florida went in, got some experience, and now hopefully they can stay healthy and not re-aggravate some of these injuries. So, excited to see what that offensive line looks.
And Cam Waits will be out for most of the year, if not the whole year, coming back from his Achilles injury. Kind of reading between the lines of what Billy Napier said, it's like we hope to get him back at some point. But when you're talking about a 6'8", 370-pound guy trying to come back from an Achilles tear and an Achilles tendon surgery, that's going to be a long timetable for him. And he just had that injury in March. So you're talking, 6 months ago, really, from having an Achilles surgery.
And then you have Jordan Herman, the JUCO transfer, and then Damian George, the Alabama transfer. Nick Saban spoke very highly of Damian George, got injured last season, lost his starting spot, comes to Florida with a lot of experience. So, again, a lot of players with experience, a lot of people you should think highly of. But, as we talked about last week, as we kind of rattled off a bunch of names across the board on a bunch of different things, is a lot of times they're just names until we get that experience and that exposure. Let me give a quick shout out to our friends over at FanGo. Go visit fangotickets.com. Think of it as Airbnb for your season tickets. Right now, Tampa Bay area for the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Tampa Bay Bucks, the Florida Gators, Cleveland Browns, and Cincinnati Bengals. Go check them out. Put your season tickets up. We are going to have a promo code where you'll be able to get money off of your first tickets. But again, it is free to put your season tickets on there. There are no buyer fees as well. So again, fangotickets.com. Go support a Florida Gator alumni as he creates hopefully a better option than Ticketmaster and a lot of the other ticketing sites that are out there. Let's get through a few more quotes here. Again, kind of sporadic in the way.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pound that like button. There's a lot of people in the comments. We appreciate y'all for hanging out. Like, comment. Continue to comment in the comments. It helps us with the algorithms. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us this morning.
And we appreciate Stone Cold Drip Sauce Tim. Hell of a name.
Sound like my closet.
Appreciate your super chat donation. Super chat donation questions will be answered almost immediately. So again, super chat. But again, if anything, click the like button, hit the subscribe button, and shoot us a comment as you can. So again, kind of going through some quotes here. Austin Armstrong. First off, sick quarter zip. Got to figure out where to get one that will be elite winter apparel. But he said, we want to be tough, physical, relentless. We want to be the aggressor. We want to hunt. I expect to see a very aggressive offense from Austin Armstrong, really trying to go after and affect the quarterback. Billy Napier said that we've had 53 players set records for max velocity this summer. TJ Searcy gained 12 pounds of muscle since January. Jalen Kimbers, 8 pounds of muscle since April. Jack Pyburn, 10 pounds of muscle since January. His body fat percentage went down 6%. So, again, a lot of things that we've talked about. Nick, you mentioned Mark Hockey at the beginning of this segment, but a lot of work being done in the weight room. Going through here, I think that those are kind of the big quotes from the day. So let's wrap up that segment. Any final thoughts on Florida Gators Media Day?
No, successful event. It's time to play the games. Enough quotes. I'm ready to see, pads and
let the pads talk.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to hear these pads clap, bro.
But Twitter's been telling me that Florida fans have been saying the games, or Florida State fans keep saying to you guys that the game's got to be played.
Them people about to have a rude awakening starting week 1. I don't know. I think a lot of people got us twisted, bro. I'm ready to get in my bag. I've been chilling all off season, but I think people got us. They playing us. They got the logo twisted a little bit. Little media day stuff. I like Austin Armstrong. I'm ready to see that defense, bro.
Yeah.
Most importantly, hearing what Billy said about our front 4, our front 7, the upgrades there. This is a guy that's like, he's not going to, I don't think, overhype anything that we have. If he's confident about our front 7, a guy that's from, the pedigree of Bama and Clemson, he knows something. And I like the guys that they brought on. Cam, the other guy, I'm forgetting his name,
Jackson.
Caleb Banks. Cam Jackson, Caleb Banks. Going with Chris McClellan, who we already had last year, that takes Desmond Watts' reps down tremendously. We can use him in spurts, and he's going to be more effective. But that front seven, Princely, he got the number 1 jersey. I wasn't here last week to talk about that, but shout out to him getting that number 1. I expect him to live up to those expectations. He just got to have a motor and play every down. As long as he's come focused to play every down, starting week 1, we're gonna put the country on notice that our front seven, that defense is gonna be a problem.
Absolutely.